Okay, and this is my 8th video. Color filters and all, they're definitely the best in this one right here. I remember someone making a comment that the opening scene or scenes was a little bit flat for the opening of the video. I kind of agree with that. Could have been a little bit more hype and all that. That's an ideal situation right there. Get someone to pop mages, swiftness and all that, and still get him stunned and kill him. I think for this scene, I should have chosen something better. Although, I think I also chose this one because it was like sort of good enough, quote unquote, at the time. Hindsight is different, but I also like the timing. I do believe so. The timing in the video, throughout the rest of the video, I really liked the timing for certain other edits and music and all that, which is why I went with that one. Ash Candy is so good. It was crazy how I had like all the weapons back then. Love my guild for doing that too. Love raiding with them, love the guys, but yeah. Sure got a lot of weapons and stuff. There was a lot happening. A little bit of trouble. Unfortunately, usually that's the case. This is one of the few times where you actually hit a rogue out of vanish, I would say, with Judgment. Doing this was so hard. The window was just a lot less than it should have been. That's how it is. That was a Judgment of Command into the Seal of Justice swap. And then Seal of Command, just enough timing, get that proc million. Thank you, Mob. He should have canceled his first aid right there so he could dodge because he had evasion up, but he didn't have to do that. And I say I had advantage for that. But notice how long it took, like, because the spell batching being fucked up. Finally gets knocked out of vanish after I judgment him out of it, and then dead. I'm gonna have to mute it when it gets to Linkin Park, unfortunately. Love this song. Deja Vu by Osam. So Osam R.I. song, something like that. Caught this one off of Happy Stream, I think when he was streaming Classic WoW, just like PvP. Heard it and I was like, damn, this is crazy good. Favorite songs, one of my favorite songs. Heard it and I was like, alright, I'm gonna include that in the PvP video, something like that. I really like let's see, so I do like a lot of the songs, and they tend to be my favorites that I've used throughout most of my videos, but for the couple of videos I would say this one, a lot of Violet Evergarden, Linkin Park, Deja Vu, of course this one I'm listening to right now, and then my 5th video versus Ned with all the Pink Floyd guitar solos and all that. Probably my couple favorites. Although some of the other ones are really hard to contend to as well, like Fierce Motivations, Thank You, really big one of my favorites. I think this is my most complete best video because the filters and everything, overall editing and quality of footage, like Hava is really good. Really proud of the guy. And Red vs. Rogue is fun and all that. There's a lot of mix-ups and all that we do, and I try and show them throughout the video. So for instance, this is kind of ruined because Red versus Rogue, there's a bunch of things you can do. So if you have the PvP set, like the 4 set, or I think 3 set if it's rank 12, 13, you can sort of stagger your Hammer Justice, which has its uses because it'll come off cooldown, 10 seconds earlier than Repentance. But most of the time, if you're going for big damage combos, which is usually what you want to be doing most of the time, because you can get an extra swing off of Repentance or whatnot, plus or minus a nade or sapper, kind of depends on how low health you are too. And granted, the iron nades, I want to say I was using most of the time here. Might have been using thorium. Not that big, but thorium grenades, yeah, that damage adds up. So most of the time you actually only have to keep track of one of these, because most of the time you are going to be coupling them together if you want to go for burst combos, which most of the time is a red pally you want to. So you really only keep track of one of them, and then once one of them's up, you know the other's going to be up once that 6 seconds ends or whatnot when you use them that way. One of the downsides of that though is like what I'm doing right here. Although I line this up right so that I turn around to gouge 9, and then the grenade lands so that he can't really do anything in between. So it was perfectly timed in that sense. He was still DR'd because of the repentance. I think that was a Thorn, because I don't think Iron Grenade tip remembered. I think that's a little Thorn. Not sure, probably. Iron Grenade 200. Here's a bunch of swap ups that we both do to each other. Playstyle adjustments, things we're trying to fish out bait in between each other. Like, you know, you did this one thing this other duel, so now I'm going to do this, and then see what your reaction is. That type of stuff. We both do that a lot versus each other. So I also like that. It's kind of boring, or it sucks for a video if someone's not interested in red versus rogue, because it's a whole lot of slotted dueling, me versus Flaw. And I want to say, Happy's one of my critics, where he'll say you need to break it up more. So you shouldn't just do the same thing all the time and have some like roll PvP interspersement, which I think I did a little bit, but not a ton. That is nice, although I do remember this being very clunky because of how spell bashing and all that was. So it should be snappier. You should be able to hit someone like 19%, 20%, whatever, and then use Tidal Charm into Hammer Wrath. But because of spell batching, I remember it feeling very clunky. So Tidal Charm was essentially nerfed because of this, because it was a lot harder, it was a lot slower to just Tidal Charm Hammer Wrath. But this is one of the times when it actually worked out well. But Tidal Charm and some other things like Seal Justice swapping would be a whole lot better and all that if the spell batching wasn't so big. Kind of like now with Season of Master and all that. Except it's kind of like too nerfed, because we heard Seal swap. This is one of the best clips Swa had versus me. He just fucking got me twice, and then he caught my bluff too. So it's like, if you're fighting a paladin right here, it's like there's no way he's not gonna bubble. He's gonna bubble. So you can go ahead and save time yourself, like extend distance, whatever. And I was bluffing, and he called my bluff. He's like, "No, you're gonna be a greedy little bastard. You're not gonna bubble. So I'm just gonna stay here because there's no point in me running away to bandage or whatnot earlier or re-stealth if you're not gonna bubble. So I'm gonna make sure that you actually force the bubble." And he called me. I bluffed, and he called me. And I fucking died because of that. As a player, but especially as a red paladin, I would say that a really big difference as to why people aren't, and that's me using the BWL trinket for the speed and haste. I think he used skull. He skulled himself out of pens, which is pretty nice. Still got some delayed damage over here. And I'm able to get that holy light off because of that trinket. Let's see. I think I was going somewhere with that, but oh yeah. What I was gonna say is I said dragon chili and all that. Maybe it's just that. What I was gonna say is as a player, but especially red pally, you need to be able to take a lot of risks, gamble, stick your neck out there, and not be afraid of dying. Otherwise, you're just gonna not be able to be as good of a player as you could be. But then also in terms of red, like in a lot of situations, it's just such a bad and nerfed class. It needs a lot of help. So unless you're actually willing to take huge gambles and risks, you're gonna be able to do, I don't know, like half of what you can actually do, because how you get far in Classic WoW and as a player, especially Red Pally, is you push the limits. And unless you risk taking those limits, taking those gambles, you're just not really gonna get all that you might, get all that you could, and you need to, especially as Red, because it's such a nerfed class. So one of the things about this is when you have Seal Crusader, it's very useful to do the one auto and then have it up for a little bit so that it speeds up your next auto, and then that's when you seal swap to Seal Command, for instance. Lands it. And I think it just runs out of range. If I didn't interrupt it the first time, I think I might have been able to get it, but that happens. A few things you could do right there in that situation. Seal of Wisdom, or Seal of Might, or Seal of Light. Either would be, any of those would be great. But you could do that, and then put down the Consecrate, and then Bandage. But in this situation, I didn't want to give him time to think or anything like that, so I immediately put down the Consecrate and Bandage. Forced an option from him. And I got a bunch of healing because of that. And now he's not in a good position. He could turn the tables, but it's going to be pretty hard for him to right now. And then this is when I decided to put up a Seal of Wisdom. Longer the fight goes on, more mana I'll have. Putting Seal of Light in this kind of situation, unless I want a mana pot or something like that, doesn't really make sense, because Seal of Light needs mana to actually heal. So yeah, instead I'll offer for the utility of longevity with Seal of Wisdom. Can do a whole bunch of seal swap and stuff like that. Probably should have delayed that auto, because I don't think I had to seal up in time. And then barely landed that, but yeah, I killed him. Let's see, then I think we have the Silent Hill I want to say. Or is it Silent Hill? Oh wait, no, I need to mute that because it's Linkin Park. That one's really good. I want to say it's what is it? It was 2. So there's a Session. I think I used both Session and that one. Everyone, I'd like to welcome a special guest, Mr. Han. What is that? I really should remember the title of that song, but I don't. But both of those, the instrumentals are really good. That might be what that one was. And then it does segue into Garden of Words. I want to say it's Garden of Words. And I just want to say how much of a jackass this guy is right here. I'm letting him kill a rogue or 1v1 him. I want that Restoring Vein naturally. And then this jackass decides that he's going to attack me as if it's a 2v1 when it's not, when it's not. But I'm like, alright, Shamanders needs no help versus a Pally, but whatever. Alright, burst him down, getting a lot of damage. Interrupt, and that actually happened pretty well. You mess up the timing on Consecrate and all that, then your nade doesn't really matter. He can interrupt with Earth Shock or whatever. I just went for it. Ended up paying out right there. I wonder, is that the AB or the STV trinket? I suppose it was the STV trinket, judging off the damage, but I don't know. He used a Frost Shock, so I know I can use a Holy Light, and then he just does a ton of more damage, and I'm like, well, I don't really like how that is looking, but most of the time you can try bursting with a Shaman versus a Shaman as red pie. It just doesn't work out a lot of the time because you rely on like Hodge procs, sappers, that kind of thing. Most of the time the cards are just not in your favor. So most of the time to win versus Shamans, you just have to outplay them a lot and then hope that your gear with the healing and fake casting their Earth Shock or anything like that, and then you resist their Frost Shock and they don't get whatever overload or whatnot procs against you or whatever it is, and then double Chain Lightning crits, because that's the easy way to die as a Paladin or as anyone versus a Yelly Shaman. And then you hope to just outlast them. That's kind of all you can do most of the time, because again, the card's not in your favor to win a damage fight versus a Shaman usually. One of the things that Shamans don't have is a proper cleanser. Obviously, they don't have Divine Shield either, and then mana efficiency. That's one of the things Shamans do not have, mana efficiency. Really good on burst heals, burst damage, but purge too. They're best in slot for purging two dispels at once. But yeah, mana efficiency not so much. That's the one thing Pallies have over Shamans in a fight. One of the only other things you can do is timing your auto attack, sort of like seal twisting. If a shaman or whatnot, priest is spamming dispel, you have to sort of time your seal activation with your auto attack, the end of the auto attack swing, so you can get a seal proc off even if they're purge spamming you, which is one of the only sort of counterplay tricks to a priest shaman spamming purge dispel. One of the other counterplays is a mana efficiency option, you know, using a down rank like Blessing of Wisdom rank 1, trying to get them to purge spam that. Still takes some time, and shamans do damage even when they're not casting stuff at you. It's a lot better for enhancement, which tends to be why enhancement also has a pretty easy time versus S priest a lot of time, because they can purge spam Interval with Earthshock, and they'll still have Wind Fairy procs in between, so they have an easier time with that than Ellie Shamans. But Ellie Shamans still have Lightning Shield or like totems or whatnot. The time that they use for purge spamming you is just extra time. Like, they don't have to purge spam you. They can always pause, do some damage, do a frost shock or whatever, and then continue purge spamming you. And you're kind of SOL, because there's not a whole lot you can do about that other than, again, just hoping that you get some frost shock resist or whatever in there, and hoping that eventually they will drain themselves if you're using rank 1 spells and all that. And keep in mind, like 6.3k mana, yeah, that's it's gonna take a little bit to drain that bar. I really love this song. Well, I guess I should fix that. I love parts of this song, the intro and the outro, which is what I used. I think the piano was just lovely, beautiful, so good, so good. The two things about it is I think it has originally audio, which I'm not too fond of, and the rest of the song in the middle and all that does change quite a bit, which I'm not too fond of. Sounds good and all that, just not as good as the piano. If they kept the piano with the intro and the outro, sort of that same feel throughout the whole song, I would love this song a whole lot more. Although I do like it, I really like it as it is now. It was a little bit jarring, I want to say. If you noticed it, the audio swap. If I was better at audio blending, that would be less noticeable, but not too good at audio blending. This is where the Linkin Park also shows in with this outro. Heva thought it was regrettable, found it embarrassing that he had such a badass intro, and then he decided to get destroyed by me in a fight. But it was just one of those things that worked with the timing. Like, if I swapped certain footage based on the editing that I wanted with the rest of the video, it would have been less embarrassing for him, and it would have made more sense with the intro. But I really like how the rest of the video editing worked, so I went with It's As It Is. And that's a one-handed Seal Command proc to two-handed right there, and then you get the two-handed damage. Just some more nice tips and tricks. And then this is just extending the combo. Auto, grenade, Seal Command proc, dead. Bunch of stuff like that. I think there's another swap I do in here. I forget what it is, but I remember it being a little bit different, and also that's why I included it. Let's see. Command. Oh, I tried to go for a Seal Justice swap. Twist did not work there for the stun. Although sometimes they do just flat out resist. I don't think that happened right there, but two-hander swap again. Judgment. Yeah. It's a nice damage combo kill. Kill confirm. You just set up. As Ret Pally, all you can do is set up properly and hope. Pray you get the right RNG crits and procs and all that. That's also another really big reason why you want to take risks and all that, because otherwise you're not going to get used to your burst windows. Like, at what percentage is it unsafe for them? If you have just Hammer Justice up, Hammer Justice plus Repentance, just Repentance, that plus grenades. That's why you want to be able to do all this stuff. So, like, he was at 85%, 85%, 34%. I'm watching what he does. I think he's a buster. Yep, he's a buster. He's like, I don't have a room cloth bandage, but I have enough to make one. He had to fucking open his inventory for that shit. And I'm like, nope. Seal Twist, Seal Justice. As soon as that happens, if he actually gets stunned, which he does, it's over. It's a wrap. Unless unless I miss Hammer of Wrath, which does happen. It makes me a very sad panda. But yeah, as soon as that happens, he's locked down. He wasn't properly respecting that, or he thought it was worth taking a gamble. I can't really blame him too much for that, but yeah. That's also one of the reasons why you don't necessarily want to just immediately Divine Shield. If a rogue does something, you can always like try and bait. Sometimes you should try and bait out certain options with them. Let's see. I think that was a conversational part. Yeah, that was a conversational part with the boys. We're talking about a bunch of weird stuff, interesting stuff. Segues into more about Evergarden. Phenomenal soundtrack. Really great show. Phenomenal soundtrack. I think this came after the movie, which I thought was nowhere near as good as the show. Although I think there's two. I only saw one. And apparently when I saw the movie, that was not as good as the other one. Phoenix Old Guard. The OGs. Cure for the Itch. That was it. Yeah, Cure for the Itch. That was really good. I think Happy showed me the sound. Hill 2 Reprise Piano 1. Yeah, that one's really good too. Cloud Keeper leg plates. Alright. And let's see. Any other thoughts, any other notes? Yeah. One of my regrets is that I was doing other stuff in life. I needed to focus more on my life and all that back when, towards the tail end of Classic, when this stuff was going on. So my guild was in AQ40, and I really wanted to be there with them and finish AQ40 and Max with them. But I had to focus on me in real life. Also kind of felt like it was a been there, done that. Like me and my boys both felt that way because we were playing Classic WoW forever. So one of my long-standing dreams, getting T215, is in a humble Pally 1, the Dream set. I'd only completed 2 pieces, and then I got Dark Edge of Insanity 2, but I'd only gotten 2 pieces, and then I left to go do stuff, jobs in real life and all that. But yeah, if I had finished AQ with him, finished out that set, probably I would have another video. I would have another video show for it. I would have that dream set. That would be awesome. Would have had Ashbringer. Chances are, would have had Ashbringer too. Or would have had all the weapons. T215 and Ashbringer. Would have completed with my guild, and that would have been awesome. But that didn't happen. Wasn't in the stars. They went to go on to clear Nax and all that, which is awesome on them. And then they went on off to BC. And I went with server pick of my boys in BC on Alliance, I want to say. I think that was also because we sort of picked wrongly on Deviate to Light in a few ways. It wasn't all bad, but everything has its trade-offs. We said, okay, you can have the server pick this time. Didn't go that well. And then we all got bored and all that and quit BC. Oh well. Alright, and that's the end of that.